Hey deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey with Nicole and Azan. As I often say in these videos, you should not be using these videos as a replacement for therapy. If you need therapy, you should get a therapist because you deserve it.
Do you love me?
Nicole, who did you go out with?
Just a guy friend.
A guy? You didn't tell me, guy. You always want me to trust you. How can I?
The interview's over.
Nicole.
It's done. It's over. No, you're a bad person. Don't say that I'm the bad person.
There's nothing to talk about.
Why is it so hard to talk to me?
Stop.
Wait!
Yeah, tough. It's been a while since I saw that scene. That is rough. And I don't know if I fully went into it, listen to the previous episodes where I go over that scene in more detail, but we're starting to see a pattern for Nicole, a mode that she goes into where she feels entitled to put hands on, but also to emotionally bulldoze, as her parents will put it. I'm guessing that behavior didn't emerge from a vacuum, that it was either modeled to her and or encouraged in her family or retained from an early form of maturity in her that was a response to mistreatment of some kind. So there's that, but she is 100% responsible for that, what I'm going to call abusive behavior, because it is, to put hands on and prevent someone from being able to move, and to coerce someone physically by its nature is abusive. So it's pretty tough to watch.
Even with everything that happened, I have a lot of high hopes that, Azan will come to America to be with me, but I'm still worried that there's so much that happened that, there's a possibility that he won't. I'm really worried that you're not gonna trust me 100% when you finally come, and you're there with me, all the time. We're living together, and I feel like still you're not gonna trust me.
I gotta be honest with you. I trust you now, but it's not like 100%,
So that's great. That is normal. I mean, Azan is on his own path regarding getting trust back. But as I've been saying in previous videos, it takes a long time to build trust back. It's a process. It takes a long time. Essentially, we are looking for evidence that we can trust the other person. Oftentimes in relationships, it's like, you need to trust me. And what a more rational way of looking at it is trust is earned. And how do you earn trust? Well, it's over time. Let me use an example between you and me. As you watch me, I'm guessing if you watch a number of my videos, I don't know, but I'm guessing you eventually trust me more and more, unless I'm saying ridiculous things that you don't agree with, or I don't know. But the more you experience me, maybe the more you trust me. And the first time you watched a video of mine, you were probably like, well, let's see what this, Yahoo has to say about this TV show. And over time, you learn how to trust me. Why do you learn that? Well, it's because it takes time. It takes repetition. And our emotional centers and our cognitive centers have to have repeat data to reflect on and say, okay, I can now predict this person's behavior. Why? Because I have so much data memory-wise based on this person. I can trust my wife because we've had many, many years where I can now predict her behavior. I can trust my parents because they've been in my life my entire life. And there are other people that I don't trust. Why? Because they proved to me that they couldn't be trusted for a long enough period of time. Now, there are other people who I'm in a relationship with, friend-wise, who we've had bad moments, and I don't trust them entirely, but I trust them to the degree that I can trust them. So that's what trust is. It's not something that you just give someone. Okay, I trust you now. No, trust is earned over time. You can say, I want to trust you, or you can trust that I'm trying to trust you and that I'm open to trusting you. You can trust that. But trust is something that you earn over time. And so for him, he's saying, well, I have recovered quite a bit since the massive trust incursions about you cheating 1.5 times. But I'm not fully 100% yet. But I'm much better than I was before. So it's very rational, makes total sense. I'm glad they're having this conversation.
If I go to America, I worry you can change the things that you do, That's what I don't want to happen. So I want to work in this now.
Does that mean you still want to go through with the K1 visa?
My trust issue is really hard right now. With Nicole cheating or being with guys, and any time more to to trust her that completely. If she loves me, she can do this stuff, you know. I want to see if she can do this. I want to see. I really want this to work out, and I want to be happy and stuff like this. So we have to go to America to see that. I want to see it.
Okay, so it's interesting. I think halfway through this season, I would have predicted they were going to break up, but sounds like they're standing the test of time. To be clear, I'm not pulling for this relationship. There are some relationships I would often pull for, or I'd sometimes pull for. What was the relationship that I was pulling for on this show? I can't remember, but most of the time I'm trying to be objective, not only because I want to exhibit my clinician mode, but also just philosophically. I just know that there are a lot of different choices people make that I wouldn't make personally, but that other people would make, and that's just normal. Some people like to wear pink button-up shirts, and some people don't. Some people like to have, their hair grow out during the coronavirus. Some people don't. And that's okay. And some people want to get married in a situation where there's a lot of conflict and a lot of concern, and some people don't. So what's it to any of us to comment on that?
You know, I have to be just more patient with Nicole because I do really love her and care about her, and she really supports me like all the time. There is things that we still need to work about it, but it's time for her to see how I can be in America.
Now, I will say that I know some of you out there are highly opinionated about some of the couples that I watch, whether it's this couple or another couple. You will email me and say things like, I hate Darcy, or I completely despise Nicole, or I just, watching this person, I just can't stand them. And you're entitled to your feelings. So I'm not saying that you're wrong, because you can react however you want to react. But again, we have to be differentiated about that and recognize that those are our feelings and they're not the feelings. As a therapist, it's incredibly important for all therapists to recognize that our emotional reaction, and to some extent our interpretation of situations, clients, people on the TV, is not the interpretation, it's our interpretation based on our own lens, our own biases, these kinds of things. So there's that. The other thing that I don't think I've ever talked about, but I want everyone to consider, is that your reactivity to the characters probably has something to do with your traumatic past. We've all had relational traumas in the past, whether it's our parents, our siblings, bullying at school, our early romantic relationships, our later romantic relationships, our current romantic relationships, our work relationships, our relationships with politicians, that one-way relationship. And so we have incurred good moments and bad moments, and some really bad moments, and they've gotten under our skin, and we aren't fully repaired or healed from those wounds, because sometimes it takes years and years and years to heal. Sometimes it takes a lifetime to heal from a wound that you incurred in a relationship. And when you watch shows like this, if there's any of your wounds that get touched upon by what you're watching, then it's going to change how you feel about it. And so I challenge you to think about the person you hate the most on this show. Think about that one person on this TV show, 90 Day Fiancé, that you hated the most and that you had the most visceral reactivity to. And then I challenge you to think about what traumas might be touched upon as you're watching that individual. Who do they remind you of in the past? Now, some of you might be able to immediately answer that question. Oh my God, well, I dated a Jesse back in the day. Or I dated a Darcy back in the day. And when I watched that show, yeah, absolutely. But sometimes it's more subtle, because the person might not look exactly like the person who wounded you in the past. So you might have to look a little deeper. What are the elements of the relationship that are similar to the elements of the relationship? For example, when you look at Darcy, she has a particular kind of look to her physically, right? Well, your Darcy in the past might look like Azan, but treated you the way Darcy treated people. So sometimes you have to go beyond the physical appearance and more to the emotional themes that the person has. And that can inform our reactivity. Now, I'm not saying your reactivity is wrong. What I'm saying is that this is a good guide for us to know our wounds, because then we can take care of ourselves. We all deserve to tend to our wounds and have other people tend to those wounds. When you cut yourself, actually, I have a wound. I cut myself. I have no idea how I cut myself. Just walking around the house, I must have just hit something, and it was bleeding quite a bit earlier. And I deserve to tend to it, and I did. I put a Band-Aid on it, and it got better. And if it was really bad, I deserve to say to my wife, Stacy, hey, help me out. So emotional wounds are the same. When we have emotional wounds, we deserve to notice them ourselves, and we deserve to heal them and spend time on ourselves healing them and ask for help from other people. But so many people don't do this because our society teaches you got to move on. You got to stop dwelling on the past. It's ridiculous.
As a Muslim, everyone can see that I don't look like American.
I mean, if anything happens, maybe it'll be just take a little longer, but I just, I hope everything will work out fine and,
Yeah.
I'm really excited for you to come. It'll be fun. We'll have a lot of fun. You excited?
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for that.
Okay, so it's kind of a sweet moment and classic preoccupied avoidant interaction right there. For people out there who are preoccupied and you have an avoidant partner, you know what that's like. In terms of you can talk very freely about, oh, I'm excited to, it'll be fun. And then you look at your avoidant partner and they're just like, uh-huh. Now, it can often feel like withdrawal and purposeful walls being put up. But to the avoidant person, they early in life realized, I can't extend myself. I got to put up walls to protect myself. Even when they want to have the walls not be there, the walls are still there. Because until they heal and they have earned security, the walls are just naturally there. And it takes a tremendous effort to overcome those walls. Not only just effort, but also just like trust and the ability to be differentiated regarding your own feelings. And so in that moment, she says, I'm really excited for you to come. And he is being very quiet. Now, on the other interpretation is he's not being avoidant in this moment, and he just doesn't really want to go to the States and doesn't really love her, which, I don't know, that doesn't seem to be true, but who knows? We can't get inside of his head. All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Thanks for joining me out there. Please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.